Hi there, my name is Clarissa, registered nutritionist specialising in digestive health, autoimmune conditions, and energy and weight management. Now, today I'm going to be sharing a video on all things immune system health. Obviously, over the past however many months, our immune systems have had a bit of a spotlight in the press and on the general agenda for most people. And so there's been a lot of information circulating about the immune system, what we can do, what we shouldn't do, the things that can impact it, the things that can boost it. So today, in this video, I wanted to talk about the immune system and some of the things that we can focus on through diet and nutrition to support our immune system all year round. So talking about the immune system, I wanted to jump into what the immune system is in a little bit of detail, not too much. Now, the immune system is essentially our defense system. It's, our host system that helps us survive, that fights off bacteria and pathogens and things that we don't want entering the body, and protects us in general. Now, there is a difference in our immune system responses that we also need to think about, because our immune system is made up of, it's not just one system in the body, it's made up of cells, of proteins, of organs, of our skin, enzymes. There are many different factors that interplay with our immune system and that make up this host defense system. And there's a different response that we can have, well, two major responses. There is the innate immune system response. Now, the innate immune system response is what we're born with, and it's mostly these cells and proteins that I just mentioned, so things like T helper cells, which you might have heard of before, that essentially work to protect us. They are like our army of defense in the body that fight off viruses and bacteria and pathogens and things we don't really want entering into the body to help us, prevent us from getting sick or unwell, hopefully. We then have the acquired immune system, which is incredibly important as well, because the acquired immune system is not something that we're born with. It's actually activated by exposure to things. So what can happen is you're exposed to a virus, a pathogen, a foreign antigen, and you produce antibodies, which is definitely a word a lot of us have learned a lot more about over the past year and a half. And essentially, these antibodies create an immunological library. So we've been shown this kind of foreign antigen, we've produced antibodies and an immune system response, and we remember this immune system response, and we have an immunological library. And this is really important because it means that next time we are exposed to whatever this pathogen and virus, that bacteria, antigen is, we have already dealt with this, so we have a known response. We can mount a response very rapidly to prevent us from getting sick, which is why often being exposed to certain things can actually give us a sense of immunity for however long a period of time. So really interesting. In addition, 70% of our immune system is located in the digestive system. So, I talk about cells and proteins and skin, but 70% of it is located in the digestive tract. So making sure that we're looking after our digestive health is really important for looking after our immune system and inflammation levels as well. Now, when it comes to factors that can influence or impact our immune system, there are many. Some of the common ones that I like to talk about, it's not just being exposed to viruses and pathogens. Stress is a key factor. Stress can deplete resources away from the immune system and send them to our heart and our muscles. So we can be when we're in a fight or flight response, so we can fight or flight. Long-term chronic stress exposure can really dampen the resources away from the immune system so that we can be more susceptible potentially to colds and flus. Over-exercising and under-exercising, over-exercising puts stress on the body. Exercise is also really important for distribution of white blood cells, part of those cells and proteins that make up our immune system. Sleep is key as well. After a few nights sleep, I know I can sometimes feel a little bit under the weather. So making sure that we're having good quality sleep is important. Diet, which I'm going to jump into in a little bit later, but making sure we don't have nutritional deficiencies, we're not overdoing it on foods that can be a little bit stimulatory or overly processed as well. Which leads me nicely on to talking about what can we do through nutrition. So I'll start with the things that we want to reduce before I talk about the wonderful things to introduce. In terms of a reduction in our diet, we want to try to avoid a diet heavy in highly sugary foods. They have done studies where they showed that those who consume lots of refined sugars unfortunately have a dampened immune system response. So trying to make sure, you're not having more than 30 grams of sugar, which is the recommended amount in the UK for adults per day. Then highly processed foods, so foods that are very low in nutrients. So things that don't really look so much like food. Every so often, absolutely, we all need, these burgers or pizza, whatever it might be. But, making sure that your diet isn't focused just heavily on processed foods and with a lack of nutrient-rich foods. And alcohol. Try to stay below 14 units of alcohol a week, because alcohol can affect our quality of sleep, our stress, our digestive system, our immune system, and more. But then I wanted to talk about a nutrient spotlight, because there's so much that we can do through our diet by making sure that we're getting in the right nutrients. Now, first up is vitamin C. Everyone already thinks about vitamin C as the immune system vitamin. Vitamin C is an antioxidant. It has been shown to shorten the duration of people who have colds and flus, those who are stressed with colds and flus. They particularly looked at athletes. But also what's important with vitamin C is that the body cannot make it. It's not like vitamin D and certain B vitamins that we can produce. We cannot make vitamin D, which means we rely solely on dietary intake. But the good news is if you're eating your minimum of 5 portions of fruit and veg a day, you should be able to get in enough vitamin C. But if you wanted to spotlight it, there is more vitamin C in broccoli, in tomatoes, than in a glass of orange juice. So focusing on your vegetables will also give you lots of other nutrients as well, and slightly less of that kind of added sugar response, although a cup of orange juice can be very delicious and good for you. So make sure you're not just focusing on just a cup of OJ, go for tomatoes, broccolis, but also strawberry, other citrus fruits like grapefruits, squeezed lemon juice, etc. And then we have vitamin D, which has received superstar status over the past year and a half and is my number one vitamin. Now, we get the best source of vitamin D from sun exposure on our skin. However, over the past however many months, we haven't had a huge amount of sun exposure. We haven't been able to travel as much. We spent more time indoors. We've had a long winter, which means we don't get sun. And this can leave us at a risk of deficiency of vitamin D. The recommended daily intake of vitamin D in the UK is 400 international units, or 10 micrograms per day. And it's actually recommended in the UK that those who do live in the UK take a vitamin D supplement of 10 micrograms between the months of October to April to prevent a deficiency. So I'd really recommend thinking about taking a vitamin D supplement in those months, or if you haven't, perhaps going to get a blood test to get your vitamin D levels checked, because vitamin D is crucial when it comes to the immune system. It plays such an important role in enabling the cells and the proteins in our immune system, but in addition, it plays a role in mood, energy production, bone health, gut health, and so much more. You can get some vitamin D, by the way, in foods, a little bit in dairy, some mushrooms, things like that. But it's quite hard to get the recommended daily intake from diet alone. But the good news is when we do have those few rare moments of sunshine in the UK, 20 minutes a day in the sun on your skin is enough to get the recommended daily intake. And finally, we have zinc when it comes to the nutrient spotlight. Zinc keeps our immune system strong, can help with wound healing. So it's a pretty important one. Plus it helps with hair, skin and nail and sperm and testosterone health. But again, zinc can be low in its consumption and particularly if you're on restrictive diets, because the best sources of zinc can be found in things like seafood, shellfish, red meat. So those on vegetarian, vegan diets might just need to be a little bit more organized in getting in more zinc. So eating things such as cashews, pumpkin seeds, beans, spinach, these kind of foods. But if you do eat everything, then having a good amount of seafood, so salmon, shellfish, red meat once a week, that should be good enough to get in zinc for your immune system. If you want to supplement with zinc, just be mindful. Try to have about 15 milligrams or less, because taking a lot of zinc can trigger nausea and affect our copper status as well. So we don't want to overdo it with zinc. And then we have spices and herbs as well. So I've spoken about the nutrients we want to spotlight, but it's also really important to think about what can we incorporate in our cooking alongside these fruits and vegetables to just give us a little bit of a flavor boost and immune system boost. And the first one is turmeric, or turmeric. Now, turmeric is anti-inflammatory. It's incredible for the immune system. It can help with white blood cell proliferation. And it also is incredibly good for joint pain as well. Any gut-related issues it can be helpful with too. So it's a pretty good one. And the reason why it's so anti-inflammatory is thanks to the curcumin found in turmeric, which gives it that kind of bioavailable nature. It's that, and gives it that vibrant, bright orange color. So trying to get in a bit of turmeric in your cooking. But 2 tips with turmeric if you're cooking with it. Add black pepper, because a compound in black pepper called piperine helps you absorb more of the turmeric. And try to pair it with fat when you can to help with absorption. And finally, ginger. Ginger is another one that's thought of with colds and flus, hot ginger, lemon, and honey, which has a lot of support about it. Ginger, lemon has the vitamin C's, honey gives you a little bit of natural energy, and natural raw honey can actually be antibacterial as well. But ginger is antibacterial, can be antiviral, can be anti-inflammatory, is anti-inflammatory as well. So it's a pretty good one as well. And it tastes delicious. And you can easily chuck it into stir fries, smoothies, make a ginger tea, into salad dressings. You can even make ginger cake, ginger biscuits. So absolutely try incorporating a little bit of turmeric, perhaps in a turmeric latte or a curry, some ginger a couple of times a week, especially as we get into the winter months when we want these kind of more warming options available to us. So hopefully I've given you some food for thought in terms of foods that we could be considering introducing all year round, but especially as we enter into the kind of winter months, we want to make sure that we're covering our vitamin D if we're not getting it from the sun, that we're getting in enough fruits and veggies and some spices to keep us warm. I hope you've enjoyed that session on the immune system, and thanks for watching.